Hi, I'm George, and in today's video, we're going to talk about lean thinking and how it applies to knowledge work, the work of professionals and experts. It's one of my favorite topics, and I hope you're going to enjoy it. So, let's get started. Before we talk about lean thinking for knowledge work, let's start with what lean thinking is. It's a simple concept that begins by separating effort that we apply and the value that that effort creates. Effort in knowledge work, the work of professionals and experts, is essentially the things we do in the office, like preparing for and attending meetings, doing email, validating results, video conferencing with customers, and any of the many activities that occur in knowledge work. Value, what our effort creates, that's worth paying for, includes things like increasing revenue or cutting cost, meeting schedules, ensuring that we comply with regulations, new innovation for our products and services, and delighting customers with high-quality work. Don't confuse effort and value. We can be very busy creating little value. All effort that creates no value is defined as waste, and that's things like mistakes that demand rework, dissatisfied customers that won't pay for our products and services, frustrated users that flee to our competitors, discord among colleagues arising from blaming, complaining, and arguing, confusion and the work and inaction that confusion creates, and many more things. There are so many types of waste that they can be categorized like the 8 wastes of knowledge work that you see here, but that's a topic for another video. Now, what's your assumption about how much of your effort creates value versus waste? Most people think that the lion's share of their effort creates value. After all, most knowledge staff are smart, well-trained, hardworking, and they really care, so waste must be low, right? The problem with this mindset is, if waste really is small, when problems occur, the focus is going to be on effort. What else could it be? In this mindset, initial reactions to problems are that people aren't trying hard enough, or they don't care, or maybe they don't have the capability. That leads people to push people harder, criticize, micromanage. Lean thinking teaches a better way. It teaches that the great majority of our effort actually creates no value. Jeffrey Liker, a leader in lean thinking for decades, said, "Most business processes are 90% waste." It's hard to prove this principle, but I'm sure Liker and many others who say similar things are right. And if you begin with this premise, when problems occur, you'll focus on waste. After all, if 90% of what we do creates waste, the fastest way to increase value is to cut waste. In fact, if you cut waste just 10% from 90 to 80%, you'll double value creation. I've seen that principle work again and again. And if you look at every problem first as, how do we improve our system, you'll usually be right. Not every time, but much more often than if you start by assuming people are to blame. And in those occasions where a person really is at fault, you'll find out soon enough. Lean thinking was originally created for the factory floor. The principles of effort, value, and waste apply equally to knowledge work as they do on the factory floor, but the techniques to apply them are of course quite different. For example, lean consultants start a factory client with an event called a 5S, where the team organizes a factory work area. It works every time on the factory floor, but this sort of thinking can turn off knowledge staff who have spent decades gaining expertise and knowledge. An engineer or a doctor or a scientist aren't often going to identify with the problems of a factory worker. So we'll implement lean thinking using 3 principles that knowledge staff can easily identify. We'll simplify to cut waste. We'll engage the team. And we'll create an experimental mindset. everything that we'll do in lean thinking will be a combination of these three elements. Now, let's look at this in detail. Simplifying is the most basic aspect of lean thinking. Let's look at 5 key examples. Simplifying reduces waste by applying a handful of techniques to knowledge workflows. Simplifying pays dividends quickly, helping teams create value with less effort. And here are 5 common ways to simplify work and knowledge work and reduce waste. We can speed up knowledge transfer using proven visualization techniques and by focusing on the critical. One technique every organization can benefit from quickly is the canvas view, derived from the Toyota A3 method. Next, signals. Signals are the everyday cues in workflow that something needs to be done. Things like, when do I need to take action on an item that's late? When do I need to escalate a customer issue? And when do I need to gain approval from my boss? Ambiguity in these signals is a large source of waste. The good news is it's easy to address that waste. Now, varying workflows. That's when different people do essentially the same thing in different ways. This is so common in knowledge work. And if we're doing things different ways, it's easy to address that. Just start by finding the best way we know of the ways we do it and get everyone to use that way. You'll get an immediate bump of efficiency, but just as important, people will be able to communicate better and help each other when they get in trouble. Long task queues are common in knowledge work, and they create waste by demanding multitasking and creating confusion about what should be worked on next. Lean thinking teaches nimble prioritization methods that keep work queues short. Finally, overly complex workflows demand more effort than is necessary to get something done. Lean thinking continuously improves workflow, making them simpler and more reliable. The second element of lean thinking for knowledge work is engaging the team. Engaged knowledge staff contribute more value. We'll use the engagement wheel to illustrate the 4 ways to engage our teams. We'll inspire our teams by sharing worthy goals. We'll share that our organization has goals that they join in, and we'll make sure they understand what those goals are and how they contribute. We'll challenge people. We compete to win. To do that, we've got to create contests that can be won, and we've got to recognize when we do win. Connect. We can rely on each other. We'll succeed only as a team, and we'll help each other when the going gets tough. And finally, protect. We'll make sure that people are proud of their organization. We'll take on only what we can do well, and then we'll do it well, and we'll always play within the rules. All 4 of these elements need to be present to engage a team. The last is the most complex element. It's creating an experimental mindset. This is a mindset that begins with humility and curiosity, recognizing that we can always be wrong and in ways we don't understand, and creating a hunger to learn about how we constantly get better. Experimentation begins with the falsifiable hypothesis, and that has 4 elements. First, what we are going to do. Second, what we expect to happen. Third, how we're going to measure. And fourth, what's necessary in that measurement for success. For most people, creating a clear hypothesis is uncomfortable because it brings the very real possibility of failure. But it's how we learn, it's how we get better. Now, once we have a clear hypothesis, we can use the plan, do, check, act process, also known as the Deming or Shewhart cycles. Plan and do are part of almost any approach. It's check and act that make this experimental mindset. So let's use PDCA, plan, do, check, act, with our falsifiable hypothesis. Let's start by creating a plan that has a measurement method included in it from the start. And then we'll do the work, of course. So far, all of this is just a normal mindset. But lean thinking tells us it's too likely that our hypothesis might be wrong. So we must be constantly checking our results, never assuming that what we've done is right. And then we can make a decision on whether our hypothesis is true or not, and we can either go back and rework, Or we can proceed to the next thing we want to do. Let's look at a real-world example, the Kanban board. The Kanban board is a powerful lean thinking tool. It's a sort of to-do list where each task is written on a sticky note. The task comes in on the left into backlog and moves over to the right as it matures. Each week, the team picks the highest priority tasks to flow into next up. When they're ready to start work, they move it into in progress, and it stays there until the task is complete. The Kanban board is a team-driven, just-in-time prioritization system. You can see more detail about the Kanban board in Chapter 21 of Improve. So, how does it embody our 3 lean principles? Well, it simplifies with an intuitive visualization. Anyone can see in seconds what's being worked on and what isn't. It engages the team by having short, frequent meetings so that everyone understands how they fit in. And it experiments by allowing the team to measure throughput and other performance measures as a basis for continuous improvement. The book Improve puts simplify, engage, experiment to work. Starting with Chapter 7, every chapter ends with an explanation of how the methods in that chapter will simplify, engage, and experiment. So as the techniques are presented, you can see how each embodies lean principles. I hope you found this video useful and interesting. If you'd like to see more about lean thinking for knowledge work, please see Improve, the next generation of continuous improvement for knowledge work.